Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
The big story.
Holy shit! You save the good stuff for special occasions?
Oh, behave. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to Red Hot Steelers Takes. I'm Bob Quinn, and I have Chris with me from Chris TV. There is news that we have the schedule. It's finally out. We heard leaks all week with the Paris game, which was a bunch of wee to be. Yeah, Chris, how are we doing now that we know what the schedule looks like for this year?
Oh boy, very, very interesting schedule. A couple games that worry me, a couple games that don't. But again, we continue to have one of the toughest schedules, in my opinion, especially in the AFC North. So we're gonna talk about it. But I'm gonna be honest, a lot of these games are gonna go either way. I'm not saying it's gonna all be, within 3 points or around that margin, but if we're just talking about on paper, I think a lot of these games are going to be close. And, we saw a lot of these teams last year. Some of these teams are fresh faces in a while. So it's going to be an interesting one, but we're ready to talk about it here.
Yeah, before we get to the schedule, let's talk a little bit about our good friend, the man who we thought might be signed by now, but wasn't. Bully and some others have maintained May 18th the date, which is Monday. Aaron Rodgers, the story that won't die. He's not on the roster.
Shocker.
But then again, it seems like they're really planning on him being there as far as from the season. The Steelers do have a lot of leverage now at this point because he kind of can't go somewhere unless they get the compensatory draft pick. They also get the right to match. But man, at this point, I mean, I didn't think we would know by today. I was encouraged when they signed. What do you think? We say it every week. Maybe next week.
I knew he wasn't going to sign. He probably just wanted to go to Pittsburgh and go on the golf course. Maybe he just wanted to chill with some of his buddies. Maybe go eat some nice food that he missed during the season. Look, it's going to be something where we're not going to stop talking about him until he signs. At this point, I don't know. We hear from Adam Schefter on ESPN that back in March we're gonna hear from him in the end of the month. All right, and then we hear all of a sudden the reports are out that he's meeting there. I heard he wasn't there. I heard he was there but never went to the Steelers facility. I've heard two different things by two or more different people. So it's dumb. I think again, Aaron Rodgers needs to either sign, don't sign. I don't understand what is the point of waiting? I don't understand. It's like, give me more time. I need more time. What? It's ridiculous.
I don't think he wants more time. He's long been on record for at least
he wants more money.
No. He thinks all the offseason activities before training camp are bullshit.
That
he
too.
He doesn't want to participate in it. He didn't the last couple of years in Green Bay. He didn't. He did with the Jets. Fat lot of good that did him. He was there for mandatory minicamp last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is going to be, but like OTAs and voluntary and all that stuff. Hey, I'm 43. There's a better chance I get hurt than learn anything in those environments. So, does he want more money? I mean, from his perspective, think about what he gave away with the Jets, like $70 million to do the Jets a favor. He plays last year for bargain basement, $13 million. We talked about it a couple of times. Kirk Cousins getting paid $20+ million. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I know I'm better than him. So you got to look. I'm going to give you $20 million. I mean, fuck, they're paying Dak Prescott $16 million to play quarterback. So Aaron asking for 20 to me isn't that big of a deal. But There's another guy contract wise that started to. There's been some talk the last couple of days, and that's Nick Herbig. And there's a lot of debate. Do the Steelers just let it play out? And if he has a monster year, franchise him, because we don't know for sure he's going to work in Patrick Graham's defense. Although I think he will. I think he's earned it. I would try to pay him in a bargain basement rate this year. Maybe offer him like 2 for $30 and say, hey, look, if you do great, you can go to free agency in 2 years. But here's a huge raise. You only made, as a 4th round pick, he made maybe $2 million the last 3 years. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think? Should they risk it with Herbig, or maybe hope they can get a team friendly contract?
It's a risk. But again, if TJ's kind of out the door soon, I think he could be that guy, not take his spot or whatever, but he could be one of those people that, okay, I made a right decision, right? If he keeps TJ around gets rid of him, whatever, of Herbig, and TJ don't produce, nothing really happens. You're going to always be looking at what if, especially if Herbig produces with another team. It's tough because they have to use him, obviously, if they're going to pay him. I think they will. I think he'll be kind of that Alex. I think he will be better than Alex Highsmith. I think he plays more than Alex. I don't know why he doesn't start over him. I'm going to be honest. Look, if there's a trade that could happen, I'm sure if it's a good one, they will listen to it and it could make sense. But I think you should keep him, especially if he finishes with a lot of sacks. If he goes great for tackles, his value could be up a little bit more. It's a tough one. Because again, they rotate him a lot, and if you're gonna use him in the way they've used him the last few years, give him away and let him go to another team and get your money. But I think they should keep him around. And again, he should be he should be a starter over Alex Highsmith, in my opinion.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because CJ goes into the last year of his contract next year.
Yes.
So, I think if you go to TJ and ask him, because they're going to need some restructure to get Aaron Rodgers signed, I wonder how he would react, because there's the Wisconsin connection. It's well documented. He mentored him at Wisconsin. TJ, we'd really like to sign Nick Herbig on a team-friendly deal, but, man, we need you to restructure to pull that off. Does TJ actually consider it because it's Nick Herbig and say, you know what? Yeah, I'll spread it out. I'll take a little less. I mean, it'd be great to say, look, if you really want to be a one helmet guy, help the team out. Let's keep Herbig long term, because Alex, he's going into the last year of his contract here next year too. So, I think we would get the most for Alex in a trade. And then you got Jack Sawyer, who, do I think he's a starting linebacker edge? No, I don't. But, man, I didn't think he'd play as well as he did last year. And if they start to think, hey, we could go cheap, we can pay Herbig and Sawyer half of what we're paying Highsmith and Watt and get close to the same production, then that's a lot of salary cap money to save. And, maybe you go get yourself another premier free agent next year. So it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be this coming season. I'm so excited. So let's put the schedule back up and start to get into this. I mean, we're not going to predict the preseason games. It's kind of cool. They're hosting the Packers and the Jets.
Yeah,
going to Buffalo.
Yeah, one game. I just think one game we're going to see Howard. One game we're going to see Aller. More than the other, I should say. I think they're both obviously going to play in the same games, but one games I think we're going to see one more than the other, and then that Buffalo preseason game, especially if Rodgers isn't there, is going to mean a lot. But that's the only thing I'm looking forward to in the preseason, is actually seeing Will Howard play on an NFL field and Drew Aller. Otherwise, I don't care.
If last year's any indication, we know we're not going to see Aaron Rodgers, even if he signs, which
yes,
I would hope he would be by preseason, but we know he's not going to play. I mean, to me, I would say, one week give Howard the reps against the ones, the next week give Aller the reps against the one, and let them both play a half.
Yes.
Give them a full first half, second half. Look, we don't need to see Mason Rudolph. Okay, we need to see in those first 2 games in the preseason if Aaron's on the roster. Does Howard have it to be the backup? Does Aller have it to be the backup? And if they don't, then okay, fine. Maybe the second half or fourth quarter of the Jets game, you throw Mason in and you give him the first half against Buffalo at the end of the season. But I would give every waking play in at least the first 2 preseason games to Howard and Aller and just see what it looks like.
Yes. No, I agree.
So let's jump right in. Home opener for the first time in a long time. I think it's almost a decade since the Steelers have been at home. And 2 years ago, we opened up with the Falcons in Atlanta. And to me, kind of sounded the death knell on Kirk Cousins that he was not any longer the player anybody thought he would be. So, Chris, I'll let you go first. What are we thinking here? The Steelers.
Well, first off, I'm going on this schedule and just thinking in my head that Aaron Rodgers is our quarterback. We're going to assume Aaron's
our
quarterback for this one. No, I like the way we started off against Atlanta 2 years ago, and we had Justin Fields starting that game. I don't think Atlanta's very well on the defensive side. Again, I haven't watched too much of their games, but I know their offense can be explosive. I think the crowd's going to be good. Again, that week 1 home advantage is real. I was one of those people that I didn't believe in home field advantages. I'll be honest. But I think, if this, again, the home opener, I think the Steelers will play good. I think TJ Watt's going to be a big key factor in this game. I believe he played a really good game, or a pretty decent game, at least when we played Atlanta 2 years ago. And like your chat said, this game's always kind of weird, especially when it is in Atlanta. It always feels like it is a close game when it shouldn't be, and the Steelers always pull off a last second miracle. So I hope this is not the case right now. But I think the Steelers are going to win. It's probably going to be a close one, like 23-20 or something like that for the home opener. But I think the Steelers get it done in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same way. I'm not saying it's going to be a close game. I actually don't, because it's borderline who's going to play quarterback at this point for Atlanta.
Right.
I think there's a better chance it's a blowout if Penix is actually on the field. I think this will be the first time with Patrick Graham in the defense that we're going to get an inkling that we're going to be a different defense. I'm not saying necessarily we're going to be a top 10 defense, but I do think they will be better against the run. We won't be playing nickel against heavy sets. And even when we do, because Bijan Robinson is a nice pass catcher out of the backfield, he is a problem. I think we will see Jalen Ramsey in that nickel floating role, not at safety, where he kind of follows Bijan Robinson around. And one thing about Jalen is, man, he could still hit last year. I assume nothing less this year. Yeah, I actually think the Steelers handle Atlanta pretty well here. And you see a 3-point game, I see a 10-point game. But yeah, I'm definitely going Steelers here. I think it's.
I hope so. But like that person in your chat said, these games are always they're odd because, like I said, it always feels like Atlanta has that little bit of advantage. The way you're feeling right now, I felt this way against Week 1 against the Jets. The Jets were terrible all season, but the one game they actually played decent against happened to be the season opener against Pittsburgh. Now, granted, you can take the Rodgers revenge game into consideration, but I don't know. I hope it's not. I hope you're right, but yeah, I think we both agree that they're going to win. Though we both agree that they're going to win. I think they do. I think they do.
All the weird games have happened in Atlanta. Atlanta hasn't come to Pittsburgh since 2018. But when you think back on some of the weird games, like the tie,
right, yeah.
Those were always in Atlanta. So let's move on to the New England Patriots. No truth that we're going to have Diana Rossini lead the team out on the field to psych out Vrabel. But that being said, what are we thinking about New England?
It's a tough one, man. We beat them last year. They ended up going to the Super Bowl. I think they're a little bit overrated. Don't think Drake May is going to have that good of a season. I think again the Steelers defense could keep pressuring him like they did last year. I don't think he knows how to throw the ball. I honestly didn't think Drake May looked that well against Pittsburgh, and then you see how he plays. So, like I said, we just got done talking about Herbig and on our linebackers, our edge rushers. All those guys can get pressure to Drake May. I honestly think this is a repeat of last year. I'm gonna say the Steelers. I know we're gonna be the very, very. It's gonna be a big underdog. They're gonna be highly favored, but again, Drake May under pressure against Pittsburgh last year folded, and I think he could do the same thing this year. And TJ is gonna have a big factor in this game again. So I'm gonna say the Steelers, but if somehow New England surprises me, if they, somehow land AJ Brown, I know that's a rumor going on. I know there's still speculation that he stays. If they make that moves at that wide receiver position, especially, Stephon Diggs not being there, and if they want to go get somebody, maybe we could be talking something different. But again, even the defense didn't play that well against Pittsburgh and Rodgers last year. So I'm going to go with the Steelers.
So here's the thing. I actually think the Patriots are going to take a big step back. Super Bowl teams that lose the Super Bowl generally take a step back the following season. It's not going to be forever, but I don't think the Patriots are going to be as good as now. Look, they're not going to fumble the ball 84 times like they did last year, theoretically, but Drake May can turn the ball over. And I think the Steelers kind of broke the Foxborough jinx a little bit last year. I also think Mike McCarthy doesn't. I think we need to be careful this year about translating things that always happened under Mike Tomlin for the last 20 years to
Fair.
Mike McCarthy. So
Fair.
I think based on the fact they'll take a step back, I think the defense will be a little better than they expect. Now, A.J. Brown, if he is there, has cooked us repeatedly for the Eagles, but we're not playing in Philadelphia here. It is a house of horrors, but I think the Steelers will pull off a tight win here. I really do. So let's move on to the Bengals. I'll take the Bengals first. If we had caught Cincinnati week 1, week 2, I'm all over the Steelers on that. Week 3, assuming Joe Burrow is healthy, that's usually when the Bengals start to figure things out after they start 0-2 and think, oh, shit, we better win a game before we're out of it. It's at Pittsburgh. It's a 1 o'clock game, which I think is good for us. But ultimately, I think this will be kind of like last year where Cincy figures out a way to score 38 points and we only maybe put up 30, 32, somewhere in there. So I'm going to take this as our first loss. I think we're going to drop the second home game to the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. This is going to be one of those games where one play is going to determine one turnover, one interception, anything like that. It's going to be a deciding factor of this game. Our secondary has to be on point. Long story short, I don't think we're going to win this game. I agree, because our secondary has to be on point. I think, obviously Jamar Chase. Did you see Jamar Chase against Jalen Ramsey last year in that Thursday night? What was it? The Thursday night football game? Jalen Ramsey was getting destroyed, especially in the goal line. Dude, even when Joe Burrow wasn't even looking to throw the ball to Jamar Chase, I was watching Jamar Chase specifically. He was burning and beating Jalen Ramsey. So my point is, if Jamar Chase has another game like that, you involve T. Higgins, which he didn't play bad. I think he even had a touchdown or close to one. Yeah, it's hard to say the Steelers. I think they can get it done. But like you said, if Because here's my thing. We've seen Cincinnati the last few years not start off well, and then they play kind of decent and then try to fight their way. So, it's tough. I want to say the Steelers, but if Burrow's healthy week 3, yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to have that one play, or the Steelers are going to have that one turnover that gives them the win.
Yeah, and it could easily go the other way. But that being said, I have a feeling this will be a must-win for Cincinnati. The first half of the schedule is a lot of must-wins for the Steelers. But that being said, the Bengals they usually split with the Bengals. I think the Bengals, this will be the reverse like it has been the last couple of years where we win there, they win here. So now that being said, so Thursday night, Cleveland Browns,
We're losing.
4 days after we lost to the Bengals. An AFC road team has not won a Thursday night football game ever. So we're going to the Browns with Deshaun Watson, Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel. Maybe they'll dust off Brian Sipe. What do you think?
This is the one game a year I hate. It's Steelers and Browns at Cleveland, because the Steelers always lose. Whether it's in the playoffs to Baker Mayfield, whether it's last year to Jameis Winston in the snow, or 2 years ago, I'm sorry, to Jameis Winston in the snow. We almost lose to Shador last year. It's going to be one of those games, man. We're going to lose. Shador's probably going to be their starter. He's probably going to look good in the first half. The Steelers probably even be a close game in the first half. And then that second half, even Shador is one of the two is going to happen. We're either going to start off bad and have a bad game, or we're going to start off decent and blow the game at the end. I'm going to give Cleveland, I think we're going to start 2-2, and that's not going to be a good start. That Cincinnati game is going to be crucial for the Steelers. 2 division games back-to-back, and our second division game just happens to be Cleveland on a Thursday night away. Yeah, we have to win that Cincinnati game, because we got Cleveland, that's a win. If you see these games, it's going to be a tough one. We got to beat Cincinnati, but yeah, I think we're going to lose to Cleveland.
So Tomlin had lost 6 out of 7 at Cleveland, and this is the first time we see Mike McCarthy.
Yes.
And I think that will make the huge difference here, because going on a Thursday night, he's not going to play conservative, especially if they put up a lot of points against the Bengals and lose at home. I think the Steelers break the curse here. Pre-Tomlin, we won at Cleveland all the fucking time. And for the first half of his career with Ben, and really, if you think about it, even just the last couple of years of Ben, he struggled there too. Yeah, I think Cleveland could be a train wreck by week 4, because they're going to start with Deshaun Watson. The only other choice is Shador. Now, they've drafted some nice young pieces. I get it. But I think quarterback play is really going to let them down. I also don't think the defense is going to be as good as people think without Schwartz there. So you're going Browns. I'm going Steelers here. So let's move on to Indy at home.
Yeah, I think we got Indy at home. I think we had a great game against Indy last year as well. I think the defense will control I think we have to control the game first off. I think once their offense kind of loses their momentum, they kind of rely on Jonathan Taylor, and if he doesn't get going, we just got to make sure Jonathan Taylor doesn't get going. I mean, we know how hot he starts. When Indy was the best team in the league last year when we beat him, Jonathan Taylor was arguably, in the MVP, your MVP, or in the MVP conversation. So if the Steelers, if he's not having a good or not having a strong start or as strong of a start, and the Steelers defense can lower him, I think the Steelers can win this game. But I do like the Steelers in this. It's going to be a revenge game for Pittman. So I like the Steelers.
Yeah, this Jonathan Taylor comment, I get it. Look, if the Steelers beat Atlanta and are convincing against Bijan Robinson on opening day, I think they beat Indy here. I'm a little bit skeptical about, can Daniel Jones do it twice, especially coming off of the injury. I think this is a game we traditionally beat Indy at home, so I'm going to go Steelers here too. It'll probably be close, and there's always the fact that Jonathan Taylor could put up 5,000 yards in a game, but I don't think so. I don't think so. So let's talk about Sunday at Tampa Bay. I'm going to try to go to this game. It's only a couple hours away. The return of the Steelers versus Baker Mayfield. What do we think?
It's going to be a tough one. I know the Bucks, a lot of people are going to, they losing Mike Evans. It's a big deal for them. Do not get me wrong. But man, those receivers in Tampa they run really good routes. That offense is very good. Emeka Egbuka, again, Steelers could have gotten, but that was a conversation for a different day. Just like 2 years in a row, could have gotten two good receivers. Didn't happen. But no, I think he's gonna have an explosive year. It's gonna be tough again with this game being in Tampa. I think I'm gonna take the Bucks. If I hope the defense the secondary to be specific, could do what they got to do there. But that offense is very good down in Tampa, and they know how to use their receivers. Baker improves every year, but again, this time of year is when Baker Mayfield's kind of at his best, honestly, and then he gets really hot towards like the Thanksgiving time. So it worries me a little bit. So I'm gonna go Baker Mayfield in the Bucks, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm good. All right, so the Steelers usually play very, very well in Tampa. There have been some games where you go in and think, I don't know, but they get in a fight before the game. Vance McDonald runs somebody over. I do like the Steelers in Tampa Bay here. Again, this is definitely assuming Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback.
Yes.
I feel like Tampa's going to take a step back. The first half of the year last year, Baker was the MVP candidate.
Yeah.
They played great. They won a lot of close games. But then the second half, he was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
He might not be the quarterback if he starts off slow by the time they get to Tampa. That being said, I hope he does play. Except for the playoff game, it's not like he owned us. I mean, we beat him up pretty good.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's the game, especially with the overseas trip coming, that the Steelers have to have. And I think they'll figure out a way to win because I think their offense is actually going to be better than Tampa's offense.
Yes.
So, which brings us to France.
Uh-oh.
Playing the Saints in France is kind of like playing the Steelers in Ireland. Huge home field advantage for the Saints. Team we traditionally have not played well against either. So it's Tyler Shuck, not Drew Brees. What do you think?
I like the Steelers, of course. I think I know the Saints probably have the high favorite, but I do think, the Steelers have a big international favor throughout the entire international NFL. I hope that place is rocking with Steelers fans. I really do. But I just don't think that offense from New Orleans is going to be explosive. As long as we can avoid turnovers and control the clock, this should be our game to win. I got the Steelers. That's literally all we have to do. I don't think if again, on paper, from just looking at this, again, we control the clock and we don't have any stupid turnovers. We could easily win this game, put points on the board. We could easily put 30 on this team.
Barring a weather game here, I think Aaron will be so disinterested in the fact that he's got to fly. Now, personally, I'm sure he likes Paris, but by the time game time rolls around, I expect him to be hungover. And, to be honest with you, if I'm the Steelers here and I start off and I'm, what I'm predicting is they're 5-1, I might even consider leaving Aaron home and saying, hey, man, we're good. We'll see you. Be ready for Cleveland next week. It's just something weird always happens in the Saints games. It's like the Falcons game. Whenever we play the NFC South, things teams you think we should beat, we don't.
Yes.
And teams that we do, and that goes back a long time. So, yeah, I think the Saints. And again, they're in France. This is fucking home turf for the Saints. I mean, they're Steelers travel well, but they're not gonna. The French are gonna love the fact that it's the French Quarter and whatever. Plus, I've been to Paris. Fuck that. I wouldn't go again. So maybe the Steelers shouldn't go either. Just forfeit the game. Let's flip it back. I don't love the fact we're not taking a bye here. It is the team's choice normally when you go to Europe to take a bye. The Browns at home. What are we thinking?
I like the Steelers. The Steelers usually do well against Cleveland at home in the 1 o'clock games. Again, I hope it's one of those things that usually happens where, we know what they like to do. Just stop Myles Garrett, and we should be all right. Again, this is thinking that Shador is not going to have an explosive year because I think he's ultimately going to be their starting quarterback. It's going to be, I don't think this is going to be as a close one or as I think it's going to be when we play them week 4 in Cleveland. So I'm going to give this one to the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to them too because I think they're going to be pissed off about the loss. You get the Browns at home. By this time, I really do expect the Browns to be out of it. But again, I really like what they did in the draft. I really do. I think what's going to be the downfall in Cleveland is the defense won't be the defense we've seen the last couple of years, and the quarterback play will be shit. But I think we'll all get a real close-up view of what life's going to look like when they eventually find a quarterback, which hopefully will be 22 years from now when those guys are long retired. But, man, Concepcion could be a problem. He might get a special teams touchdown there. But I'm taking us to sweep the Browns for the first time in 7 years. Oh, excuse me. Heading into the bye, I got us at 6-2. You got us at 5-3.
Yes.
So then we're coming off the bye. We're going to Cincinnati, who trucked us at home.
Yes.
8:20 on Sunday Night Football. I personally think the Steelers will win this game. It's a weird series. They win in Cincinnati. They lose at home against the Bengals. If Burrow's healthy, this could absolutely be the Bengals sweep the Steelers. But let's be honest, I don't think he's going to be healthy. So I'm predicting Burrow won't be able to play, and that it'll be a win for the Steelers.
This is tough because, again, like I kind of mentioned before when we talked about Cincinnati going into week 3, they start off kind of slow. That defense is not very great for them, but that offense starts very slow and they slowly get good again. That's, with Joe Burrow being healthy, coming off a season with an injury. I think call me crazy. I don't know if he's going to have that great of a year. I don't know. But again, these AFC North games are always tricky. I'm gonna agree with you. The Steelers go into Cincinnati, they get the win. And they have to get this win. And the reason I say that is because, not to jump ahead, there's no way in hell they're beating Philadelphia. So they have got to win this game against Cincinnati, and they know that. 2 away games in a row. I think they win one of them, and that's the Cincinnati one.
Yeah, I think you're dead on about the Eagles. So I was born in 1968. The Steelers have not won in Philadelphia in my lifetime. 1965 was the last time we won.
Jeez. Yeah, I believe that, dude. And the Eagles are just way more physical than the Steelers every time they play each other, especially that game last year. Or 2 years ago, whenever it was. Holy moly. That Eagles defense was so physical. A.J. Brown was scoring 2 touchdowns like it was nothing. Saquon didn't even have that great of a game. Go ahead. Because I don't think the Steelers are winning. I give them an L.
I do think the Eagles will take a step back this year, but I mean, you can't. until it happens, you can't. I'm sorry, 57 years in a row, 58 years in a row, 60 years in a row. Actually, more, yeah, it is. It's 61 years in a row. We lost to Philly in Philly. Now, we don't play them every year, but it's not like we haven't played them a lot. So,
Yeah, we played him 2 years ago in Philly, and we got
yeah,
destroyed. I was actually
yeah.
very confident going into that game too.
I cannot remember the last game that was close. Philly
No,
against Philly. I
no.
remember Ben in the, I think it was the last Super Bowl year where we rolled in looking good, and but he just got made embarrassed. But you know, yeah, no, we're not beating Philly.
No.
Which brings us to an interesting game. Black Friday. The Steelers and
I
the
like that.
Broncos hosting the Broncos, which usually means things are good for us because although we played pretty well in my eye too. So I'm just going to tell you right now, I hate a Friday game. I hate a 3:00 game. Got to figure out how to get the day off of work now. But that being said, I just got a funny feeling that there's going to be shenanigans in this game, and the Steelers are not going to be able to pull it off. I think we're going back to back here and losing to Denver.
It's interesting, man. I remember my first Steelers game. I got the ticket right there on the other side of my door behind me. It was Peyton. It was the Peyton Manning was hurt, but it was Brock Osweiler, 2015. Steelers come in there on Sunday night, or the Broncos go into the Heinz Field on a Sunday night football. This is when Martavius Bryant was still scoring touchdowns, and we ended up beating Brock Osweiler in that very, very close game. And I was there for that. It was very fun. So my history with this team, again, one of the most heartbroken things as a child is losing to this team against Tim Tebow. I have my history with watching Steelers versus Denver games throughout my life.
I remember when the Broncos kind of broke. We had lost the 3-peat to the Raiders in '76, and we're right back on the horse in '77. And that Orange Crush defense, Tebow. I remember us upsetting Denver in Denver when Elway was supposed to be ascending with Chuck Noll. Yeah, it's going to be. I just don't. I think at this point there may be a couple injury issues. That defense is extremely physical. Aaron didn't play too well on adjusted times and weeks. I think a lot. If this game's on Sunday, I think we win. If this game's on Friday like it is,
I'm so in between. I don't know how confident. I think Bo Nix is either gonna have a bad year or he's gonna be a AFC North or AFC championship contender again. So it's tough. The Steelers also have that one game a year against a pretty good team where they either beat them or lose to them by a field goal margin. This game's tough. I'm gonna go with Denver because I think with the addition of Jalen Waddle going into to Denver, their offense is going to be a little more explosive. I really like Cortland Sutton, and him and Bo Nix played really well together last year before his injury. So I'm going to go towards that. But if that's going to be my prediction, that the Steelers lose. But just on a side note, if Bo Nix isn't having a good year and that injury really is catching up to him, Jalen Waddle really isn't producing for them, oh, yeah, I think the Steelers have a chance. But for now, I'm going to give it to Denver.
Yep. And then the following week, we host the Houston Texans. We've seen this movie before.
Oh, we've seen this in the exact same time, too. Oh, my God. This is...
Oh, no, it's at 8:20. I think we played... Didn't we
play 8 o'clock last year? 8:20 last year?
No, I thought it was the 5 o'clock game. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe. I thought... no, we had the Monday night game.
Yeah, Monday night. You're right.
We had the Monday night game last year. Yeah, that's right. We had the Monday night game in Pittsburgh. It's gonna be tough, man. I talk about that Houston defense. I talked about that on my show last year. That Houston defense, especially that linebacker core, they're pretty good, and they showed it again. They showed it against Pittsburgh last year in the playoffs. I just don't think the Steelers can match with them. Um, I'm gonna give this to the Texans. I hope. And look, CJ Stroud didn't even have that good of a game. He didn't have that good of a end of the season. He didn't play well against the who did they play after us in the playoffs? The was it Denver or New England?
Yeah.
So it depends. I think that defense is they're gonna be the reason they beat us. It ain't gonna be CJ.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Okay. Well, so I'm looking at it as number one, it's prime time. Number two is I think this again is a game where we see the difference between McCarthy and an approach and Tomlin. I think he's going to be attacking that defense. Will Anderson is great, but I think this is Max's coming out party. I think he'll play pretty well all year, but I think he will open some eyes with how he plays against Will Anderson. Unlike last year, where they just basically it was a race to the quarterback with Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson. I think CJ Stroud will not play great in this game, which he didn't play great against them last year. But the difference this time is the Steelers attack. DK Metcalf catches that ball. I think the Steelers figure out a way to put up 21 points and win this game. So after back-to-back losses against the Eagles and the Broncos, I'm taking them to win that home game against the Texans.
It is very possible. It is very, very possible. That again, that's just one of the games I feel like they're again the coaching situation does play a big factor. I might not be taking that too much into consideration, but yeah, it's gonna be that game's gonna be close as well. I think those from Philly till Houston, those three games, I think it's gonna be. But again, I said that 2 years ago on that stretch where we played the Bills or the Eagles and the Ravens were Russell Wilson fumbles, or then the playoffs. It's just, yeah, we don't do very well in those long stretches where we play pretty good teams. So that's kind of that's what I'm taking into consideration in this last second half of the schedule, going from Black Friday down.
So the next week is Jacksonville at Jacksonville. Now, for those of you not familiar with the rivalry, Jacksonville traditionally beat the shit out of Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh wins a lot of the time in Jacksonville. Now, that being said, if you've never been to a Steelers-Jaguars game in Jacksonville, there's a radio host down here, Frank Frangie, grew up in Pittsburgh, huge Pirates fan. He's the actual play-by-play guy for the Jaguars now. And I remember after the last Steelers-Jaguars, it wasn't the last one. It was after the Steelers-Jaguars, the Roethlisberger takes them down. They kick a last-minute field goal, and then the Jags come back and they miss a 55-yarder. It hits the crossbar, and they win. I was at that game. The Jaguars have the biggest Steelers fan club outside of Pittsburgh in the U.S., and it's ridiculous. There's only going to be 45,000 seats available because they're tarping off with the stadium construction they're starting to do. It's gonna be all Steelers fans. I'm telling you right now. There'll be a little section of Jaguar. It'll look like a Pittsburgh home game. They may play Renegade during this. It's gonna be fantastic. I remember Frangie's line when they played him and the stadium was full. He was like, the Steelers and Jaguars, that's a great environment, great game. They should play 8 games in Pittsburgh and 8 neutral site games here in Jacksonville every year. So it's going to be all Steelers fans. They're going to figure out a way to win this game. If Aaron's the quarterback, I like the Steelers to win this game.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I think Jacksonville is inconsistent. One week they play pretty well, one week they don't. I think defensively, again, I think we could attack that secondary. I think Travis Hunter's decent, but again, he is also himself coming up with an injury. Who knows how much he's going to play in the offensive side as well. So if DK or Michael Pittman, whoever's really on him, I hope Aaron, whoever a quarterback is, utilizes that matchup. And I think a DK could go for some yards here. So again, it's one of those games where few turnovers and we could, keep moving the ball down the field and not have to burn timeouts. Clock management's good. I think this is a game we could win. I also have the Steelers winning.
Then we turn around on a short week. We're at home, but we host the Ravens.
I'm gonna give the Steelers a win. 1 o'clock game against Baltimore is usually I usually go with the Steelers. I like their confidence. It's one of those things again where it's probably going to come down to a last second play with 10 seconds on the clock, and Steelers might be up, and the defense has to come through. That's usually what I think. That's what happened last year. Definitely what happened last year. So I could see that happening again at home. I like the Steelers.
So I like the reasoning here, but I think everybody thinks the Steelers are going to be desperate at this point, and they're going to be under 500, and this is a game they have to have. Look, Derrick Henry, he can't go on forever. I love Derrick Henry. He's a Hall of Fame player. But come on, what running back keeps producing till he's 33, 34, 35 years old? I don't see it. I think Baltimore's not going to be very good this year. They kind of weren't very good last year. Remember, they started out really bad. Then they kind of went on a run against the weak part of their schedule. And then they kind of fell apart towards the end. I just don't. I think Baltimore is probably a year away from being good again. They're probably going to need a running back. I still think they've got to solve and get a real second wide receiver in there. But this is going to be, I think Baltimore is going to have to win this game to stay in the division race. And because of that, we would be due for a stinker, especially after two big wins against Houston and Jacksonville. I'm going to take the Ravens here to beat us at home. So then we go to Carolina, who is improved.
Yes.
But then we go to Carolina. I'm sorry, we host Carolina.
We host Carolina. Yeah. I think we could get the win there. Again, we have the good depth there. They really got one explosive player. It's that from that rookie last year from Arizona, Terry. So it's gonna. I like Bryce Young. I really do. I like them even when he was at Alabama. But I think the Steelers, again, they should dominate this game. They should run the ball down this team's throat. Jaylen Warren should have a game against Carolina. I like the Steelers.
He should. I agree. He should definitely have a game against them. I like the Steelers to win this one, especially if there's any kind of pressing need, if they're challenging for the division here, which I think they will be. I think they figure out a way to get it done in Carolina. Then 2 days after New Year's, Sunday, January 3rd, we go to Nashville to play Tennessee at 1:00. And who knows what Tennessee will be with Cam Ward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of that's what I'm kind of thinking. I don't know if he's gonna have like himself a little Jaden Daniels type of year or what. I like the Steelers. Again, the offense is not very good in Tennessee. I think the Steelers could play them, outplay them physicality wise, physical. Again, Cam Ward, I feel like we could get a lot of turnovers on him, but he has better coaching. He should have himself a decent year. So it's honestly, this game might be a little closer than some people think, but I think the Steelers could get it done away here going into their last game against Baltimore, and then give them some momentum going into Baltimore.
Okay, so you've got us at 11-5 going into the at Ravens game to be determined. I've got us at 11-5. We got there differently. So if we are 11-5 visiting Baltimore.
Interesting. Okay, so we both have our scale. Okay, so we both have the same. Okay, so we can be on the same page here. This is going. I think the Steelers might. It's tough because I know Lamar wasn't playing, but we went into the last week of the game with Pickett and beat them on that last play with Najee. We saw how things went last year, but also we saw how things went the year before. So this game is always the game of the year. I think Baltimore is going to be playing for this is going to be the AFC North title again, in my opinion. Unless Cincinnati makes their way up and Cincinnati beats Baltimore in both their games, I think this could be another situation where, like last year. So I'm gonna give it to Baltimore. I usually we split with them. It's always a different way. It's always weird, but they're gonna need this game a lot. They're in their home stadium. I like Lamar here. Again, I think Derrick Henry could have himself a big game. But again, I say that, and then I see our linebackers play pretty decent, and especially TJ. I'm in the middle with this one. Because I'm gonna give it to Baltimore. But I think the Steelers can win this game.
Okay, Baltimore's going to win this game, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if the Steelers are 11-5, they don't need this game. I think they'll have the division sewn up.
Fair.
And look, when we get close to the season, we'll redo this. But right now, assuming Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, assuming the offense is just better than it was last year, above league average, assuming the defense has improved, yeah, I see us going 11-6 with a throwaway game in Baltimore. And depending on seeding, hosting a playoff game and actually having a chance to win it because of how the offense will carry us and make us look. Now, I can tell you right now, if Aaron gets hurt or Aaron doesn't sign, I ain't predicting no 11-6.
I agree. 100%.
I would probably flip it to at best 6-11. But the odds makers will have the Steelers finishing dead last. Dan Orlovsky and his infinite wisdom will have us finishing 0-17.
Oh, dude, he should never be allowed to talk Steelers football ever again. And all these ESPN analysts, well, they're not going to beat the Ravens. Let's just, we know that. Okay, you know what? These ESPN analysts, they don't watch the Steelers games. I'm convinced. I'm so convinced. Oh yeah, they're not going to beat the Ravens. So why are we even talking about it? You know who you are, Dan Orlovsky, fucking Dominique Foxworth on Get Up, you clowns. Oh my God, dude. You guys are terrible. These analysts, man. It's all Rodgers. Like, that's all they talk about now when it comes to the Steelers, which rightfully so. But that's the only thing going on. But that's all they're going to talk about is, has the addition of Aaron Rodgers helped or hurt the Steelers? That's all they're going to fucking talk about all year. Should have they moved on? Should have they started one of the that's all it's going to, and whether we do good, it's going to be Rodgers coming back. If we do bad, it's going to be because Rodgers came back.
I can tell you right now, the bandwagon's going to start rolling nationally if they beat Cleveland in Cleveland, and they go into the bye week 6-2, like I'm predicting. But let's just be honest. If New England goes the wrong way, if they lose to Cleveland on Thursday night again,
yes,
okay, the second half of this schedule, there's 4 losses sitting there, okay. Now, right now, I'm saying that the Baltimore is a throwaway game as the 4th loss. But if you lose to New England at New England, if you lose to Cleveland at Cleveland, then all of a sudden that Cincinnati game, if Burrow's healthy, doesn't look so good. And Houston, if we start 4-4, we ain't gonna beat Houston. I think if we're 6-2 coming off back-to-back losses, we could pull a shock against Houston. But if we're 4-4 and now all of a sudden we're 5 or 6-7 going into that Houston game, it could get real ugly real quick. That being said, we could also end up seeing Will Howard the last month of the season, or Drew Allard the last month of the season, if that's the case. But yeah,
I wouldn't look. They're gonna touch the field. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is gonna be healthy all year. He's gonna. whether it's his thumb or his leg or foot or something. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses, if he's out for 2 weeks, and then we see Will Howard or Drew Aller again. The preseason's not. This is the 1 year, in my opinion, that the preseason for us, for Steelers fans, for the quarterback position might mean something.
I can tell you right now, if the offensive line is as improved as I think they will be, with IMAX at right tackle, Patano at left tackle, be interesting to see who wins Hoffman and Dunker at left guard.
Yeah.
But this offensive line could be really, really good. And this whole quick passing that they were holding against Aaron last year, I think this year they're going to be like, he's still getting the ball out in 2 and 2.5 seconds. The only difference is it's not going to be to Gainwell. It's going to be to Pittman. It's going to be to Pat. It's going to be to DK on slants that are 4, 5, 6 yards down the field. There'll still be screens to Jalen. Okay, but that's exactly what it'll be. It's not going to be, well, Jalen ran a quick out to the flats and he's looking for Jalen to swing his head around and catch the ball. You set up the screen for Jalen and go, okay, we don't care if there's 10 guys there because he's going to run through them. I feel like it's going to be, and Bernard is going to be involved in this too. I think there's going to be some chemistry there. It's going to be different. I mean, this could end up being disastrous, but I don't think so. I think this offense is going to catch people so off guard at the beginning that by halfway through the season, I also think the fact that the Steelers will be playing a different scheme on defense for the first time in a decade, probably more, to be honest with you. I think there's going to be some teams like the Bengals and Browns who are used to the Steelers just playing a certain way. And that's where we're going to get some wrinkle and maybe shock them as far as but by the time we get to the Ravens at the end of the year, all the tape's going to be out there. The Ravens will be prepped for us. Unless that new coach is an idiot, in which case maybe Baltimore stinks. Hey, could the Steelers be 14-3? Maybe. Could the Steelers be 3-14? No. I don't care who's playing quarterback. We're going to figure out a way to win 6 or 7 games. It's going to happen.
I agree. No, I agree. Again, that defense, I think they're going to improve. They usually do when they need to come in clutch for the Steelers. But again, if we do have Aller or Will Howard, the offense they're going to struggle early on. But again, that bye week we should reset, and I think we'll have a much better end of the season. Who knows? Maybe we'll still be in the hunt, in a number one spot in the hunt, and we rely on one of these teams to lose in the end of the season. We get it. That could very much happen.
I'm telling you right now, if McCarthy somehow delivers with Aaron Rodgers a top 10 offense, this team is going to be a real problem.
Yes.
If we're a 20-30 offense like we were last year, it might end up being a long year, especially during the second half.
Yep.
But luckily, we'll still have Thanksgiving turkey, Merry Christmas, all that good stuff to hopefully drown the sorrows.
Black Friday, right? I like the Black Friday game. That's interesting. I don't like that it's at 3:00, but
yeah,
I wouldn't even mind a Thanksgiving game this year. What the hell? And the Pirates just scored 2 runs. Let's go.
Gotta love it. All right, so Chris, you guys got a show tonight for SmackDown, or
they're doing SmackDown tonight. Every Friday we got SmackDown over on the Sports Jedi Network YouTube. You guys can go check that out. Tomorrow we got our show where we break down the wrestling for the week. We're making a lot of big moves. We've had a great week in terms of viewership. Gotten a couple of thousands of views the whole week, so we appreciate you guys for that. But yeah, we're over there, Sports Jedi Network for wrestling every day, and I'm live on my own for Steelers football at PGH Chris TV, and I'm here on Fridays with Bob. So I do my show Wednesdays. I didn't do it this week because I wanted the schedule release, and I didn't go live yesterday because I figured I'd just save it for tonight. So we'll be live again next Wednesday for a PGA show, but. That's where, it's been. We'll be back here next Friday, and we say this again. We're gonna say this again this week. Maybe we actually talk about Rodgers being in Pittsburgh.
yeah, so if you're watching us, like, share, subscribe. If you're watching us after the fact, drop a comment on the YouTube comments. We'll definitely get back to you, or hit us up on X. Till next week, when hopefully we'll have a quarterback. Please like, share, subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.
And just like that, I left everything. See ya!